Welcome to Monster Monday, guys. This setup's going to be around for a little while, so just get used to it, okay? Anyways, let's talk about this film. Affleck was the bomb in Phantoms, yo. How can you watch this movie nowadays and not think of that fucking line? Jesus Christ. So, as you guys know, I'm a huge fan of the Where Are Everybody's stories. I've talked about this many times, and I mean, unless I'm mistaken, this is the film that got me in to that subgenre. That, it's hard to call it a subgenre since there's maybe only like 10 movies like this. But yeah, I want to say Phantoms, maybe Langille Ears, somewhere in that early stages. I know Twilight Zone. It's possible I saw that episode first, but I swear it was Phantom. So I'm a big fan of Phantoms. I always have been. It's been a long time since I watched it, so I was really curious on how it was going to hold up. I watched it with someone who did not like it at all. But, one thing, yeah, I mean, the CGI in this is dated as fuck. But there's a lot of great practical work in it, too. Like, a lot. So much so that I'm wondering why they even bothered with the CGI. I mean, there are shots where it's like, how are they going to do this practically? It's just, man, CGI. I don't want to be that guy who just sits here and harps on CGI all day. I love CGI when it needs to be there in bigger budget stuff. It's wonderful, but in moments like this, especially in 1998, ooh man, does it date the shit out of your film. Lots of connections here that I noticed. You got Rose McGowan and Liev Schreiber, both from Scream. You've got Ben Affleck and Nicky Katt, who are both in Dazed and Confused. You got a few nods to Stephen King stuff, a few nods to John Carpenter stuff. This was directed by Joe Chappelle, who did Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, which I was a huge fan of in 1995 when I saw it. I was such a big fan of that movie. And because of that, I still have a huge place in my heart of nostalgia. I know that it's not a great movie, but I still love it. I still really enjoy the shit out of that movie. I think that this movie is really good. Like, when I watch it, and I just watched it right now, I'm sitting there thinking, like, this movie had the potential of being fucking fantastic. And the end result ends up being a really good movie. Like, it's really good, but it just misses that mark of awesome. And there's a few different reasons. One, it's just not long enough. Hour and a half. This is a novel adaptation from a Dean Koontz book. There's no way they snuck in everything that was in that book. I haven't read the book, but at an hour and a half, it's just too lean for me. This story deserves more attention and a longer, a longer stay with it. I really would have liked to have developed this a little bit more, but man, there's some great shit in this film. There's some really good dialogue delivered by Ben Affleck, who's the bomb in this. You can't disconnect. Oh shit. Anyway, we're okay. Let's see. Now, this is the first time I do own it on DVD, but it's packed away, and I was actually excited because I went on my phone. I have this Just Watch app. If you don't have the Just Watch app on your phone or tablet or whatever, get it, man. It's badass. It tells you where every movie is located, like Stars, HBO, Showtime, Netflix, Amazon, whatever, or where it's available for rent, iTunes or Amazon or whatever. It's freaking awesome, man. So if you don't have Just Watch the app, I couldn't recommend it higher. I'm always the guy who's like, I wonder, a movie I don't own. I wonder if this, if Netflix has it. So I go to Netflix and I type it in. They don't have it. So I go to Prime and I type it in. And then I go to HBO and then I go. And it was like, man, why isn't there ever a fucking app for this? Well, there is. Just Watch. Anyway, but this is on Stars. And I was like, oh, cool. I bet they'll have an HD transfer because all I've ever seen it on is VHS and my shitty DVD. And yeah, man, they have a great HD copy on there. So this is the best it's ever looked. And I got brand new internet at this place. Holy shit, man. This internet here, 300 megs. It's actually running at that. Tested the connection. And it was like 289. It was fucking insane. And my picture is oh my god. I have 4K TV. I put on Blade Runner 2049 and I was just stunned. It was, oh my god, it was like Ryan Gosling was like in my bedroom with me, you know. Just kidding. All right. So yeah, I mean, I've already mentioned Langille Ears here, and there are some things. I don't know when what was written. Like, I don't know when the Langille Ears novella was written versus Dean Koontz's Phantoms novel. So I don't know if one borrowed from the other one or what, but the whole metal not disappearing with the people. Yes, in the Langille Ears, the bodies just disappear and they fall to the ground. In this one, it's like excrement. It's the undigested bits of the people that it's eaten, so to speak. So, yeah, I mean, I had a joke written down here. Where the hell was it? I totally forgot it. It was about that. I thought I was really funny when I wrote it down, but you know, I'll probably find it somewhere along the way, and it won't be relevant anymore. So Rose McGowan and the other chick come into town. Santa Mira, by the way. Santa Mira, yes, from Invasion of the Body Snatchers and the amazing Halloween 3, The Season of the Witch. Love to see that name. Although that's featured in the Sharknadoes I've seen or heard. Yeah, Jesus. Like, it was only in great movies. Thanks, Sharknado, for fucking it up. Liev Schreiber, he is so fucking weird in this movie. Okay, I'm jumping all around, but yeah, so they come to town, everyone's missing. Awesome. Alrighty, I'm already invested because I just love that setup. And they're looking around, and there's just bodies that are randomly put. And I was wondering why. And later in the movie, they say, because, you know, it's like a spider and it's keeping one for later and this and that. It's like it ate a whole fucking town of people, and like 2 or 3 random bodies here is going to be a good enough snack for this thing. Like, what's the point? I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Those things aren't explored. They don't need to be fully explained, I suppose, but it's like, I don't know. That just doesn't add up enough for me. I'm like, really? Like, one person, it just leaves one random, and it just so happens to be the one in her house, and it just so happens to be, now we don't know how many. I mean, they didn't check every house in town, and there was at least 1 or 2 things that, but at the same time, like, they go into the bakery, and even though it plays out as a good scene, like, it cauterizes at the hands and cuts heads off and shoves them up into an oven, and the heads aren't cooked, by the way, at all, even though they've been up there for God knows how long. Was that all a mind trick? Is that what that is? I don't know, because that's odd. Why are their hands cut off? It just so happened to eat a person up to their hands and their heads, and then took their heads and threw them in the ovens, but like up in the oven so that they would fall down perfectly. You know, it's horror movie logic, but still, I don't know. There's just so many things that are unexplored here that could have been cooler. I just can't, yeah, I mean, I'll say it again, like, Stu, or Liev Schreiber's character, is the creepiest, weirdest fucking character, and I love it. It's so different for what I know of him, like Ray Donovan or something, like, you know, I like that, to see him playing a different character here. When all the lights are going off in town and it's all getting crazy and they're flashing and all the high sirens and stuff, that would be scary as shit. And then it just turns on one light in town and they follow it. It's like, yeah, right, I'm not going there. That's the last fucking place I'm going. Those phone calls that they're getting, I'm not sure what those are all about, other than just to be creepy, right? I mean, a lot of this movie just does things to be creepy for creepy's sake, and I don't think that it services the story much. Like, it writes itself, it makes somebody, possesses someone to write, like, the Timothy Flight. Yeah, Timothy Flight, the ancient evil. Like, get a hold of him, call us up. It barely even says that, but it does say enough. And I guess this thing's a fan of the Weekly World News, which is another Stephen King little throwback here. I feel like this is a little nod to Night Flyer, but at the same time, I don't know when that was written, the novella, versus when this book was written. But it just, like I thought Richard Dees was going to show up at any moment. So that felt very, because I'm already in the Langille Ears here, then I get thrown the worldwide news, I think is what they call it in this. I was looking for it here, but I can't find it, whatever. And then we have like this giant moth that flies through, which is very, very reminiscent of The Mist. But that movie was made much later, obviously. I think The Night Flyer was a year previous to that. I think that was 97 and this is 98. And then, yeah, so it's able to kind of infect your mind and show you things that, it's taken. Now, I'm not sure how it does this, though. Because, yes, we find out in the movie that the thing can absorb people and take their memories and absorb animals and take whatever. Okay, so that's very like Horror Express, where the mind has been taken and they accumulate all of that knowledge, so it becomes this like godlike creature. Cool, okay, that's great, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. But it reads people's minds too? Like, we don't get that. I don't see any of that in the film. Like, how does it know to play on Ben Affleck's fears in his mind if it didn't eat him? Like, it's supposed to be able to create something that it's seen. The main chick here, I can't even remember her fucking name. Rose McGowan's sister or whatever. She says, essentially that maybe it can come up with, things you've imagined or things that you dream or whatever, which is really cool. I like that whole idea. I like that it eats your mind and it's able to turn into fantasies that you've had. It can literally be anything. I mean, anything that you've ever imagined, and all the millions of people that it's, maybe thousands of people it's eaten over the years, it can accumulate all those imaginary creatures and entities and pain and sorrow and all that stuff. And it can actually bring it into existence, which is great. I love that whole concept. But Affleck, I mean, it is to be argued that it saw the picture of the boy, but it shows him the boy before he pulls that picture out. So I'm not really understanding how it knew that he shot a kid and to play on that weakness of him. I guess Nicky Katt's character, but even that, Nicky Katt's character doesn't die before that. So how would it have known of that? That just doesn't make sense to me. So if anyone can explain it to me, awesome. There you go. Anyway, so let me know. Let me know how stupid I am. I don't care. The agents that fly out, Timothy doing the Elvis jokes on him, I thought that was actually pretty funny. I also like, as I said before, I like a lot of Affleck's lines. I think he's got some good stuff. Talks about, towards the end, I think that's one of my favorite parts. My two favorite parts of this movie are when Affleck says that, that the thing thinks it's a god, that its ego is its weakness, that it can be defeated because it doesn't think it can be defeated, which is great. I like the way he's like, this thing's nothing more than a fucking animal, which means we can kill it. Like, let me, it's the Predator line. It's like, if it bleeds, we can kill it. Reminds me of that. But Peter O'Toole's Timothy Flight, he goes out there and he totally makes it look like he's turning on them, and he uses this kind of reverse psychology and pokes at this thing's immortality and his whole dialogue right there, the way it's all written and delivered and what, I thought that was excellent. I just thought that was such a great way to lure this thing out like to play your hand right there, like full out, like no secrets, like they're in there devising a weapon. They think they can kill you with this fucking thing. Now this thing is brilliant. I guess it knows that he made it, but I was thinking for a second, like, what? It wouldn't believe they made that. They'd be too dumb. Only Timothy could make that. But maybe they think, like, he's telling them, like, I made this for them, and it's just there to prove to them that you're undefeatable, that you're a god. But I like that he just, like, he throws in that little dig at the end, because he's like, you know, something like, you know, you're immortal, that you're a god, and then he says, like, or are you, or like something like that, you know, paraphrasing a little bit, but essentially that's what happens. And then the thing comes out, and it's like, its ego gets the best of it. And I love this whole concept that this you know, this entity, this biological entity has lived for thousands and thousands of years, maybe even millions of years. He says wiped out the dinosaurs, right? So it's able to eat and absorb and recreate and mimic the thing. And yes, there's a lot of thing imagery in here. The dog exploding, the look of the guys in the hazmat type suits look like the front cover of the thing. Like, a lot of thing references here. And anyway, but just that idea that this thing has been living underground, and that it's been, you know, coming up every once in a while, taking out Roanoke, taking out these places, gathering knowledge. And the way that I perceived this when I was watching it this time is that this thing thought it was a god. It thought it was the devil. It thought it was a deity, you know, an antichrist, whatever, because that's how people saw it in their minds when they died. This thing that couldn't exist came in to fruition for even a moment, just a glimpse. And religious people, or whatever, there's a lot of religious people in the world, they immediately attached gods to this thing in their minds. And when it absorbed them, it took in that message so many times that it started to believe it. It started to believe that it was these gods, and it could read through their minds and go through them like, you know, catalogs of researching what gods are like. And it started to believe itself to be a god. And so, you know, it latched itself onto Timothy for whatever reason, maybe because he's the only person in that time that was pushing for more unexplainable things. Journalists usually try to report on more factual stuff, and he was writing more outlandish things, and he was specifically writing about something along these lines. Whether or not it was this thing, for sure, I think it was, but it wanted him to essentially write its new Bible. Like, this creature wants, you know, some text there in place so that everyone can worship this thing as the god that it is. And I think that's all fucking fantastic. Like, I love how all of the whole concept of this movie and the way a lot of it plays out is just excellent. And there's a lot of things to take away from it, but shitty CGI, some lame acting from Rose McGowan specifically. She is so not good in this movie. Her reactions, like after they shoot it with the chemical, whatever the hell, the bacteria that they put into it that's supposed to break up like sludge. Just the way she responds, the way she's just not there. She's so not there. I don't know how good of an actress she is overall. I don't really remember her ever being all that wonderful as an actress. But man, I thought that shit was really poor. Peter O'Toole has some moments where you can see he's not really bringing it. I mean, a guy who's playing Lawrence of Arabia should be able to bring better, you know, range, because he's kind of just one note in this movie, and sometimes that one note works really well, like when he's being the calculated scientist guy, which is, you know, that is his character in the movie. But there's moments where he should be a little more alert, he should be a little more scared, he should be a little bit more anxious, whatever, and he's just like this is how I talk from now on. Now, yeah, granted, the guy's like 80 fucking years old in this movie, and his range might be limited, but it's still, hard business to film a little bit, just a little bit. And I thought everyone else was pretty good. I thought Affleck was good overall. As I said, I liked some of his lines. I thought the romance between him and the sister, the main chick, I thought that was completely forced. It might be more fleshed out in the novel. I'm sure that it is. And as I said, maybe if you want to explore that more in a longer version of this, then it could have worked. But for me, it was one of those checking the boxes. It needs to have a romance, and it needs to have a this, and a protagonist, and an antagonist, and it's like going down the checklist, and it's like, well, people like romance, okay, so we'll make the sheriff and the chick get to, like, there's never anything, it's complete, it never goes anywhere. There's no purpose to it. It's just flirtation for flirtation's sake, just so the movie can say that it has a romance of some sort. Fuck that. It bogs the film down. There's no necessity for it. It's like, it focuses maybe 3 or 4 minutes of the movie on it, and it's like 3 or 4 minutes that I could have spent other places. It was unnecessary. In that moment, that would be, that wouldn't even be on their radar. I'm not saying it's impossible. I don't feel like it fit the film. I don't think it was necessary. So stuff like that really hurts. As I said, the CGI, as I said, I don't think that this story is fully explored. It's way too short for the story that it's trying to tell. It's like an apocalyptic type story. Yes, it can be done in 90 minutes. I mean, the John Carpenter's The Thing is around that timeline, and it's fucking the greatest horror movie ever made, in my opinion, as I stated many, many times. But I don't know, the scale of this film seems much larger, and I just think they needed more time to play around. I also like that it lures people with screams, so it kind of plays on their heroicism, like they want to go out there and save people and they end up getting killed. Yeah, Nicky Cat, man, male-dominant monkey motherfucker himself, is in this for like 2 seconds and then gets his ass killed. Sucks to see Nicky. Nicky Cat, as most people would know him from Dazed and Confused, which I just obviously quoted. That's actually, when I see Nicky Cat, I mean, that is not where my brain goes at all. I am a huge fan of Suburbia with Giovanni Ribisi. If you haven't seen Suburbia and you dug Dazed and Confused, Richard Linklater, you should definitely check it out. No, it's not the punk rock Suburbia. That's a good movie as well, but this is a much different movie. It's just kids hanging around outside of a freaking 7-Eleven, essentially. Really good movie. It kind of plays out like a play. That's the way it feels, like a stage play. I think it probably was, or something. Maybe that was the way it was written. I don't know, but that's a cool movie. Anyway, just Nicky Cat. He doesn't get any attention in this film, so I'm just going to give him a little more attention, I suppose, outside of the film. Boiler Room as well, which is based on the same dude, Jordan Belfort from The Wolf of Wall Street. That's way before The Wolf of Wall Street was a thing. The dude from American Werewolf in Paris, Tom Everett Scott, right? He plays Jordan Belfort in that movie. I don't think his name's ever actually said though. Anyway, let's stay on track. I like Nicky Cat, and I just feel like, I don't know, he never got his roles. He was always background stuff, but I dig the guy, and I wish I would have saw more in this. When the army comes in to quarantine the area, it very, very much felt like The Blob, the remake of The Blob. And let's see. Yeah. Oh, here's the fucking the dead bodies are snacks left behind, and the metal is left from its behind. That was the joke I wrote earlier for the digestion of the metal. I told you it would get back to it and it would be completely, and I didn't deliver it at all. It wasn't trying to be funny now, but there you go. There was my head when I wrote that. I thought that was cheeky, and I was gonna share it with you guys, but I was too fucking dumb to remember it, and now I just wasted it. It probably wouldn't have worked anyways. It's funnier in your head, and then you write it down, and you're like, man, I shouldn't say it, but that's not my style. All right. Yeah, there's some real obvious scare setups that are lame. I don't like that tension. There's some fake out scares as well, where people jump up and come out and it's fucking stupid. I hate that stuff. The black sludge comes up and breaks through the mask and fills it all up, and then it like sucks back down. You can see the face, and then the guy falls over and the mask breaks and all the sludge goes everywhere. And it can take on the appearance of a dog, or it can take on the appearance of characters that it's killed. That's cool stuff. And the Liev Schreiber stuff, where he has the tentacles coming out of his crotch, essentially, kind of reminds me of in Tokyo Gore Police, when the girl gets like a crocodile crotch. Kind of like that. It actually reminds me a little bit more of In the Mouth of Madness. But yeah, that's cool, man. That's all practical, or at least it looks like it's mostly practical with maybe some CGI enhancements. At this time, I don't think that CGI enhanced much, but it looks really, really cool. It's cool. It's like crawling itself around the ground, and he's like, you want to see something? And he's coming at him. The humor of his character in that moment, I mean, I guess it's just playing with his personality, because it does actually retain who he is, and he's such a weirdo. But I don't know, like, it's a little too quirky and goofy when he's like, yeah, Limbo, let's see how low I can go. Like, I don't know, that seemed a little too over the top for the moment. Like, I get that it was trying to be nutty and crazy and whatnot. I don't know, it felt a little much, honestly. And yeah, I already said all of that. Yep, said that. I think I said most fucking everything. Oh man, yeah, the practicals. So Liev Schreiber gets his head blown off by a shotgun twice in this, like right in a row, and it's badass. Blows the head up, then it kind of comes back together, and she fucking sticks it back in, and it blows itself up, and then it just starts melting slowly. And then there's that scene where it like turns into like a fucking chameleon or something when it spits the shit. It pulls a big glass shard out of its mouth, very, very similar to Oculus, which I just reviewed, when she bites into the light bulb and pulls the glass piece out. Anyways, he spits the black sludge into the thing, and then it forms into a chameleon or gecko or whatever the hell that thing is. I think it's a chameleon. And then it like melts back down into like little worms, and then like into sludge. It's cool, man. I'm guessing that's CGI, but fuck, that's the only good CGI in the movie. I thought that looked great. That was cool shit. I don't know how the hell they did that, but it looked really, really cool. So I was impressed by that, unfortunately, like when it comes up. And I like the idea behind the monster when it shows itself, when he talks it out, and he's like, you ain't got shit, motherfucker, prove me wrong. That's the paraphrase of the century. But this thing comes out, and I like the idea of it. It's very like the Blair monster from the end of, The Thing, but it like comes out, and it's like a video game. That's what it reminded me of. It reminded me of like a PlayStation 2 video game. Those are the graphics on it. But it was like a collection, a body mass of this like entity that was made out, constructed of black like bodies, like normal humanoid bodies, but they were black sludge-like, and they were like ripping themselves out of it. It looked like interpretations of hell or whatnot. And even Rose McGowan's character says somewhere in there, like, I don't want to go to hell. And are these guys kind of in hell right now? Are they retaining their consciousness, or their souls trapped in this thing, or whatever? And Liev Schreiber even says, I'm going to do Limbo. Maybe they're in a form of Limbo. Okay, I'm going a little off track there with wild theories, but who knows? And so I like the idea of the concept of this thing. It's just they don't have the technology at that time to pull it off. I don't think they could have done it practically, but it would have looked better if they had tried to do it practically, for sure. Especially with the practicals that are in this film. I think they're great when the dog bursts open, which is absolutely 100% fucking an homage to The Thing. That's one I'm 100 billion fucking percent on for sure. But that looked great. And then it kind of has some CGI, like tentacles and whatnot. And then the Liev Schreiber tentacle leg stuff, really, really good stuff. Then you got the moth that comes in, which is CGI, and it looks pretty shitty. So, I don't know. There's such great practicals in this. And I know that they were like, well, we'll option for the practicals when they're accessible and they can kind of fit the vision that we have. But then when it gets grander, we're gonna go option for the CGI, and it's like, I don't know, man. They should not have done the CGI until they were ready to do CGI. And I think that's about it. We get the fucking little cherry on top, as I've heard it called recently, where it's the threat's still out there. Liev Schreiber's sitting at the bar. You want to see something? And it cuts to I Fall to Pieces, which is a reoccurring song in this movie, which is a cool song. I like that. Throughout the movie, I feel like it gives a good thing. I think that the talking is inconsistent. Sometimes it opens the mouth and then words just start coming out. And then other times it talks through the people. So it's actually be talking like the mouth moves like it's supposed to. And then other times it just opens the mouth and it talks through it. That was weird. I don't know why those aren't consistent. I don't know why. I don't understand that. So I'm real confused on why sometimes it talks, sometimes it doesn't. Because it fucking can. Because it can do what it wants. Because it's a fucking god. Lord. That's about it. I dig the film. It's got its flaws. There's no doubt about it. Person I watched it with, Jennifer, she was not into it in the slightest. This isn't her kind of movie, so that's to be expected. She likes 90s horror movies, so I was trying to throw her on something, and Liev Schreiber's like her big crush, so I was like, hey, it's got Liev in it, you know, it's 90s, you're a big fan. Oh man, she was out in like 10 minutes. She would wake up every she woke up for like an hour, watched like 2 minutes, and was like, oh god, it's still on. It's like, oh come on, you didn't even give it a chance. Yeah, I think I got everything that it's worth saying. So what do you guys think? You guys big fans of this one? And as always, man, if you know of any Where Is Everyone type movies, please let me know. I think I've seen them all, and the ones that I haven't seen I can't find, you know, like One in a Million. I can't find that fucking movie to save my life. I think that's it. I think that's the only one of the Where Is Everybody subgenre that I have not seen, but I'm always open to new suggestions. Anyway, guys, it's a Fun Monster Monday. Look forward to the podcast coming soon. Okay, it's coming real soon. We're gonna record our intro here really quick, so I'm super fucking excited for that, guys. I really, really am. I'm getting more and more excited because I always like to talk. You know that. I could run another hour on this movie if I wanted to, but I'm trying to keep it like this. But with my podcast, man, I'm gonna go all damn day. I'm gonna have actually people to talk to. That'll be so fun. I want people to talk to. Just sitting here and talking to a fucking camera. It's weird, but talking to other people will be a blast, and I hope you guys look forward to it, and I hope you guys listen to it. But anyways, until next week, guys, adios.